What's going on YouTube? It's Giga here, and today we are playing some World Cup matches. This is currently week 4 of World Cup. For those of you that don't know how it works, is the first 3 is for all teams but the teams that got top 8 last year, and it's essentially a round robin with the top 2 from each group advancing to the second stage. So India did get top 8 last year, so we did not actually have to play in that stage. This is our second pot, or I think it's called the group stage, and this is week 4, and we are playing against Belgium versus Dreadmambo. So this is going to be a pretty exciting game, I think. I'm using the team that Aurelian used at the Lille Regional to get second, I think 2 weeks ago at this point. So I'm very excited for it. I think it's a fun team. It has Giraffe, which has been picking up for sure a lot recently. So definitely excited for it. I'll have the open team sheet down in the description below. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Also, be excited for World Cup. I'm super excited to play in this. This is easily one of my favorite times, of the year. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to bring you some gameplay. So we're just waiting for our opponent to get started, and I will just like quickly hop over to the games when we are ready to go. All right, so we're back. I was a little late to hitting the record button, as I realize now. So we are hopping right into the game, right? My opponent is using Snow. It is that Alola Ninetales team featuring Baxcalibur. It is the loaded dice one. The main thing that I was talking about is the fact that, what's it called? Our Heatran is really good into this team. The only thing we really have to worry about is that opposing Landorus and their Heatran. But we can take advantage of what we have to kind of deal with it, as our opponent going to lead with that Ogerpon next to the Landorus. So Lando lead with Ogerpon. I am expecting a Earth Power, and do they have, I'm looking quickly at their Ogerpon. It does have Follow Me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch out to Dragonite, and I'm going to go for a U-turn onto their Ogerpon, just so this way I can reposition. Heat, Shifu. I think they did correctly identify, right, a good way of setting up this position. One option for game 2, right, is going for Rillaboom to get the fake out immediately and then just Surging Strike into the Landorus, especially if we expect them to lead the Ogerpon again. So I'm just trying to get some positioning. I very much expect it to be a high horsepower into this slot. So being able just to get a nice little pivot is going to be really good here. And so we will just be able to figure out perfect. We are going to move fast. We're going to move first here, doing not as much damage as I would have liked, right? So this thing is really bulky, super bulk, which is definitely important to note. I'm going to switch right back into Qianpao, trying to keep stuff safe. Really, right, like we saw, they didn't really get any sort of good momentum. Also, an important thing worth noting is they don't have... Okay, so they're going to pivot out as well. And so this means that we get to see what they're going to bring out in the back. An important thing of note is that their Ninetales is water, not ghost, as we will see the Heatran come out here. And so I'm going to Stomping Tantrum this slot, and I'm going to Icicle Crash into the Ogerpon and hope it's enough. Heatran in the back. Oh, that's not good. Give me 1 second. My charger or my controller gave me the low battery indicator. So yep, I know. That's fine with me. Are you giving me your Heatran? Okay. We, in theory, should be charging. We are not. Okay, cool. I am going to, once again, stomping into the Heatran and Icicle Crash into the Ogerpon. I think even if they are doing this, we are still in a good position, right? Like, you'll take Fairy Residual. The Heatran does not have, what's it called? It doesn't have Flash Cannon. I mean, not Flash Cannon. It doesn't have Terra Blast. So I'm not super worried about Dragonite going down this turn, right? You don't really have anything that has a ton of damage into it. The important thing to note though, right, is I will have to switch out the Dragonite at some point. And I think, okay, so we are going to see a Terra commit here. This could be onto the Ogre Pawn, right, saying it is going to be the Heatran. So that's actually good for us, committing to the Terra Fairy. We do have access to Surging Strikes once we get rid of the Ogre Pawn. So I'm really hoping for perfect. This does connect. This should knock out. I don't know if the crit mattered. I'm going to say it did not, as we will see the go for the Stomping Tantrum. Should be good damage onto their Heatran. That is a 3-hit KO. That's solid. The Heat Wave is going to miss, and really critically, right, it's going to miss the Heatran, or the Chien Pao, which means my Sash is intact, but unfortunately, we are going to get burned. So it's a little bit of a trade-off here, right? On the one hand, we do have access to our Sash on Chien Pao, but on the other hand, our Dragonite is significantly weaker, and having to go for moves with it is going to be a little bit tricky. As the Landorus is going to come back, Terra. I am going to, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to Stomping Tantrum. I'm going to call that you're going to go for a switch, and I'm going to protect Chien Pao. I'm going to say you're going to go for a U-turn here, and I want to try and preserve as much momentum as I can and not really let you take advantage of speed tiers. D-Knight. An important thing of note is that their Heatran does have access to, what's it called? It does have access to Earth Power. So our Heatran is a little bit scared, but we do have the option to play the mind game of do we Terra or not, because we haven't committed a Terra quite yet. And so my plan right now is to Stomping Tantrum into this Landorus if it attacks to get a double power. Stomping Tantrum the next turn as perfect, right? We are going to read that. You are indeed going for that U-turn, and this will let us get a boosted Stomping Tantrum, which hopefully is enough at this range to deal with this Heatran as... Oh, wait, this is really good for us because Dragonite's going to go down. We have the ability to bring out Urshifu right now, and we can Surging Strikes into the Landorus. They don't have anything at this point that can take it. So I'm going to bring out the Shifu, right? Just saying, I'm going to Surging Strike whatever is in this spot. It is going to hurt, and it should hopefully get a knockout. And we do go for the Icicle Crash onto the Heatran at this point, right? You could go for Protect, a little bit scary. They could have Rillaboom in the back. Perfect. We're just going to get rid of this Landorus right here. And then we should be in a solid position, right? If they have, or what's it called? Rillaboom. They don't even have a Rillaboom. I don't know why they do have a Rillaboom. I'm kidding. Okay, and we hit the Icicle Crash. This should, oh, it does not KO. But, I mean, we get a flinch. Definitely a little bit unfortunate there, but it doesn't matter, right? They are, okay, so we do see Rillaboom confirmed back as the last one. And at this point with Heatran, not with, what's it called? With, yeah, our Heatran still in the back. I'm fine just to go for this. Gonna go for a Protect here. They do have Grassy Glide on their Rillaboom. Like I said, they do not have a ground move. So once we get rid of their Heatran, they don't have a way of damaging our Heatran back, and we should just be able to clean up. So I'm just gonna play it a little bit safe, right? Going for the Protect, trying to stall the fake out. I could Sacred Sword. I could have Terra Ghosted and Sacred Sworded the Heatran, but if you Protect, it gets a little bit dicey. Because then you can just go for like another Grassy Glide if you went for something like a Wood Hammer, or I guess a Grassy Glide. So we are going to see perfect. It is going to be them going for that Wood Hammer. So now with a threat gone, we are in a really good position, but we have to ask ourselves, how are they going to adjust, right? The what's it called? The Ogre Pawn is definitely a little bit scary. And yeah, we're going to see the Wood Hammer come out into the Shifu. I don't think it really matters quite at this point. They could have maybe called a switch. I mean, they know I have Heatran in the back, and so we can bring out Heatran. We don't even have to risk something like the Heat Wave missing. We can just go straight for a Flash Cannon, right? Playing it safe. We have no reason not to play it safe at this point. And so I don't really want to I mean, I don't really see it going awry for us, but I'm just gonna go for the safe play of Sucker Punch into Flash Cannon, right? This should be more than enough. Wood Hammer, I mean, that's important to know, right? They did realize that their Rillaboom is faster than our Heatran. Faster than Heatran, which is actually pretty important information and something I could have tried better to preserve, but I don't know. I think it still works out in the end, right? We will be able to take that game 1 pretty well. And so now we're going to hop right into game 2. And I think the question is, how do we adjust, right? Like, they led Ogerpon Landorus, which worked out because we had, right, the faster option, but we don't have access to protect on our Heatran. And I think all of these slots played a pretty big role. Even that even not the Landorus, even the Dragonite. And I think if it hadn't gotten burned, right, we would have just been able to apply so much more pressure a lot earlier. And so the big question in my mind is, do we want to just lead Qianpao Dragonite? Which, I mean, we have to consider, right, given the fact that they do have access to Hail, but are you going to bring Hail? And is there really a reason to mix up what we're doing, right? Like, Dragonite with Urshifu just feels really strong. Especially because Heatran doesn't have Protect, but Dragonite has priority. So, like, what I'm trying to ask, like, if I were to lead that again, right, they had the Landorus, which we were able to position around. And my question is, do we need to worry about that positioning? Or can we just lock something in from the beginning? I'm going to do this because, yeah, I think I'm going to do Qianpao with Heatran. I just think it makes the most sense. Does it? Right, like, I can play the pivoting around game and do the switches anyway. But I think leading here makes more sense, especially if we opt to, like, go for damage right off the bat, right? We can just click Outrage on Dragonite, go Terra Normal potentially to take some hits and deal damage that way. And so I think this is fine. We do, right, have to be a little bit weary of the Landorus going for a Rock Slide, but if we think they're gonna Rock Slide, right, we can pivot out to Qianpao. I mean, not to Qianpao, into Heatran. But I think Heatran is really important in this matchup, so I don't necessarily know if I want to, like, pivot and risk getting it wrong. Right, like, absolutely worst case, I will, what's it called? I will take damage on my Qianpao. And so we're gonna see Rillaboom Ninetales. So lead to, and then where's Rillo? Ninetales E2. So an important note is that this was not brought last game. It is Auroraville, Icy Wind, Encore. I am going to just Terra Normal Extreme Speed. Do I even need to do that? I think so. I'm going to try to U-turn. I'm worried about a fake out into a Moonblast. I'm going to Extreme Speed. I'm going to go for U-turn onto the Rillaboom. I'm saying, hey, even if you, what's it called? Even if you do what you're trying to do, I don't care. We are going to see the Terra come out onto the Dragonite, which indicates that you probably didn't Terra. I don't think you want to Terra in this position anyway. We are going to see the fake out, yep, into the Qianpao. I mean, not the Qianpao, into the Urshifu. That's the word. So the question now is, are you Moonblasting or are you're going to set up the Auroraville, which I think is a really good option here. This is a question of what do I want to do. Do I think I can live the Grassy Glide? I don't think I care. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to switch out to Heatran. What is it? The Ninetales doesn't do anything at this point. So I'm going to go for damage onto... Nope. That was a misclick. That's going to end up costing me, probably, because that is probably a non-zero amount of damage. So that was a misclick, as I have said. I was like, oh, I have to go over it, but I forgot that it was already there. So that's solid damage. Like, they might be going for a wood hammer onto the Dragonite, which is fine with me. I can bring out Heatran here and go for a very safe heat wave onto both of these targets. I'm hoping I can live the double up. And if not, right, the Rillaboom is just going to do so much damage to itself with recoil that I'll be able to take advantage of it. They don't really have a good thing that wants to take this. Okay, we are going to see the U-turn actually coming out from the Rillaboom, so potentially a chance of some good damage that we could have had. We could see, what's it called, a thing of their own. Not a thing, a Heatran of their own. That's the words that I'm trying to say. And then my question really becomes, I know that my Heatran, okay, so we are going to see the Heatran. They are Life Orb. And so at this point, right, it's really obvious for me to switch out the Heatran. But I can't really do that. I'm going to extreme speed the Ninetales, and I'm going to say I can live a hit from you. Right, because worst case, we can KO the Ninetales as we go for a Surging Strike into the Heatran and hopefully get it low enough. So this is right. Yeah, we can force by doubling that slot. We're gonna see the Ninetales withdraw. I'm guessing this could be Rillaboom. It is gonna be Baxcalibur. So Baxcalibur in the back. We will get some nice extreme speed damage onto it. Back two. They are going to perfect. They did call that I was going to switch out. I think that this was definitely worth staying in for, as they will take this hit. This lets us fire off a really big Earth Power onto this Heatran. Not enough, unfortunately, for the KO. And I think we really need to KO this Heatran right now. But I need to preserve my Heatran. So I'm going to extreme speed here, and I'm going to switch out into Qianpao. I think if we can get rid of that, we win. We do have the advantage, right, that we have access to Urshifu with the Scarf, which should outspeed their their Baxcalibur. Important thing to note is their Baxcalibur is also Sword Stance. It is not no, it is Sword Stance with Scale Shot. So we'll see how much this does. I'm hoping with the extra boost, we will be able to get this knockout onto the Heatran, or at least make it so its Life Orb chip will take it out. As the Heatran smartly going for a Protect here, I think them recognizing kind of what their end game is. And now the question is that Baxcalibur going to go for a Scale Shot, or is it going to go for a Sword Stance? As it is going to be just the Icicle Spear, this, I think, puts us in a really solid position. Is it a solid position? We know they're Formons. They don't have good damage into Heatran. And the thing is, we just need to KO Baxcalibur at this point. I mean, not Baxcalibur, Heatran, and we just clean up with our Heatran. And so we can bring out Urshifu here, go for the Surging Strike. Even if they switch into Rillaboom, like, we still have Qianpao out on the field. So that's not really like a beneficial position for them to be in. I'm going to Sacred Sword into the Baxcalibur, right? We also have the boost on our Qianpao as a result of being an Ice type. And importantly, right, is we will have access to Sucker Punch. So we just need to get damage onto this Baxcalibur and say, hey, if you're going to go for the poison, right, you're going to lose your boost. And that's going to let us hit you with a close combat. And also, you have to go for Scale Shot, right? And so Scale Shot will lower your defense, something else we can take advantage of with our Heatran and also our Urshifu. So I'm not super, I mean, I'm obviously going to keep playing, but I think we're in a pretty advantageous position at this time. We are going to see the commit of the Terra. It is going to be onto that Baxcalibur. I think a good prediction there, right? Calling the hit that I'm going to go for. But right at this point, we do have the ability to switch out if needed. The Heatran going to go for the Protect. Not really what's it called, necessary, as we will just be able to fire off a single Surging Strike, get that KO onto the Heatran. And now the question is, are you going for a scale shot or are you going for something else? We probably, I'm going to guess are going to see the Sacred Sword. Yeah, it's going to do not that much, and probably a scale shot to follow. Yep, into the Urshifu. So this is really good for us, as now we get to preserve our Sash. And we will live, right? So they're going to get a defense drop. They no longer have the hail boosting them as well. And we still are faster as a result of the fact that, what's it called? We are still faster as a result of the fact that we have a Scarf and we're just naturally faster. We could see a Rillaboom return here, right? Going for that thing. But I think at this point, we can let Urshifu go down and just focus on using Heatran in this endgame. I think Sucker Punch, the issue like we saw though, from that first game is the fact that they are faster with the Rillaboom than we are with Heatran. So we do have to play this a little bit kind of tricky, right? We can't necessarily Sucker Punch. I mean, we could Sucker Punch into trying to clean up with Heatran in this endgame. We do have access to a safe Earth Power if we think they're going to go down that route. But I am totally fine with Urshifu going down at this point. I could have switched out into Heatran, but I don't think we're going to be in a position where the grassy terrain will be gone. So I can't really take advantage of the fact of having, what's it called, Urshifu here. And so we are going to see the backs actually withdraw. I think a very interesting switch going out into that Alola Ninetales. I think the thought process is trying to bring the Qianpao down to Sash. And so we could, I'm assuming we're just going to see a very safe Grassy Glide. It is actually going to be the Fake Out here. And so this is a really good position for us to be in, because now that Bax doesn't have the boost, we do have access to these Surging Strikes, which are going to be able to pick up that knockout. And so we also do get the Hail back again onto our Qianpao. And so this is really looking solid for us, right? Like we're saying, hey, if you go for the commit onto us, we can take advantage of that. But I am playing aggressively because I have an end game at this point. That end game is Heatran. We do still, I think, need to target this Baxcalibur just as a result of the fact that it does have access to Sword Stance. And so I am very worried about it setting up potentially and just trying to outbulk me. And so this is also risky. They're going to Grassy Glide into the Qianpao. And so that's actually going to be good for us. We will be able to fire off a really big, what's it called? A really big Surging Strikes onto this Baxcalibur. I think if we hit the Icicle Crash, we win. And so this is a pretty... It is going to be pretty pivotal, and we do unfortunately miss it here. They are going to get the Scale Shot, though, onto the Qianpao. But with the Hail Boost, that I think that crit seals it for us. We might live if they hit 4. Come on. That is huge for us, right? Okay, we still have to play this, right? I'm gonna go for the Surging Strikes here. I'm gonna click Sucker Punch as well, because if you're protecting with Baxcalibur, you're only attacking with one Mon, right? You're only attacking with the Rillaboom, which means you can only KO either Urshifu or Qianpao, which lets us essentially, yeah. So you have, I think you have to Grassy Glide into the. Okay, so this is fine. This is fine, right? You can only Grassy Glide, I'm assuming, into the Rillaboom. I mean, not into the Rillaboom, into the Urshifu, but we still have the same scenario, right? Of I can click Heat Wave and I can click Sucker Punch. I also, yeah, I think it's fine to do the same thing, right? Like Auroraville is gone. That's really good for us. We can bring out the Heatran, right? And we can pin this slot. I think at this point an Earth Power should be enough to get the knockout. They just went for a Protect, right? So they could, what's it called? They could go for the double. I think the double isn't necessarily the end of the world. but we also can take advantage of this. They could try and go for a Swords Dance, right? Calling a switch. We still have to beat this Rillaboom, which is a non-trivial matter, but I think this is fine. I think you're out. I think you're out is a double protect. We will still have to KO this Rillaboom, right? There is no terrain, but that is hopefully in our favor, right? We will see the Grassy Glide into the Qianpao. So I was over safe, and so now this is probably where that extra U-turn damage might come into play. I think you have to go for what's it called? Wood Hammers here. And so I'm gonna click Heat Wave. Just I think a Heat Wave should be enough, right? There's no Aurora Veil. It is gonna be stab and super effective. They are gonna fire off the Wood Hammer. That does 30 damage. That is with Grassy Terrain boost. We will connect the Heat Wave, and perfect. So we will be able to take a pretty clean 2-0 here. Huge shout out to Dreadmambo. Obviously, shout out to all of Team Belgium and all of the World Cup. I hope all of you enjoyed. Hopefully, we'll have some good more content in the future. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And until next time, I hope all of you are wonderful, and I'll see you then.